Please bow your heads for invocation by Councilman Clark.
Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you for allowing us to gather here tonight and to make these choices for the future of Diamond Head, and hopefully we can make the correct ones and just make it better for everyone, and hopefully everyone starts to feel better and everyone stays safe on the road. Amen.
Amen.
I messed up.
Amen. I'd like to also say a prayer. Can we please pray for everybody in North Carolina and Florida and other states that have been impacted by these horrible hurricanes over the past few weeks? Please pray that God sends them the need and the relief that they need to be able to recover. As we remember what we went through during Hurricane Katrina and how terrific of a struggle it was, please pray that they get the relief they need to recover as soon as possible. And in his name we pray. Amen. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor DeBrio,
Here,
Councilmember Finley,
Here.
Councilmember Lisi.
Here.
Councilmember Cumberland,
Here.
Councilmember Clark,
Here.
and Councilmember Marr.
Here.
can I get a motion to confirm or adjust the agenda?
I move to adjust the agenda. I'd like to take my tabled motion off the table and move it to the action agenda.
All right, is there any other action items? Can I get a second? Councilwoman Lisi made a motion to adjust the agenda to move the table to the action. Could I get a second on the motion?
Second. Finley.
Second, the motion was seconded by Councilman Finley. City Clerk.
Finley,
Yes.
Lisi,
Yes.
Cumberland,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Marr,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. Presentation agenda. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the City Council will be held on Tuesday, November 5th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in council chambers located at City Hall. The Diamond Head Police Department's National Night Out will be held on Tuesday, October 17th, 2024 from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. at City Hall. Wright Ward Hatton and Gould PLLC are here tonight to discuss the FY23 financial audit. Would you please come forward?
Hi, everyone. I'm Charlene Kirko. Y'all might remember me from last year. I've been with Wright Ward Hatton and Gill for just about 30 years now, and I am one of the senior auditors on your audit. Y'all probably more familiar with Camille. She's our feet on the ground. She's the one that actually comes out and does all the test work, so I get to sit at the office and just look at the numbers. So there isn't a whole awful lot to go over with this audit for you guys. It's pretty much going to be a repeat of last year because of anything that we did find or commented on last year, we didn't present to management until like in November. So anything that we did find would probably have been repeated into this year. But there wasn't really anything that we brought to you guys' attention. It was just some minor technical things on like how you present your budget and a few other things. So we did not have any findings this year. We really didn't have anything in addition to what we had pointed out last year. I'm going to try to avoid flipping through this report with you guys, but if you look, everything's important in this financial statement, but there are some highlight ones that you really should look for when you're looking at financial statements. If you flip over to page 1, that is our report, and that's where we tell you guys everything about your audit report. And there are various types of audit reports. This one is what we call an unmodified opinion. and unmodified means the best opinion that you can get. That means what we're saying, we're not saying that 100% of everything's right. What we're saying is that it's materially stated correctly. And there's a difference in that. It's not like we examined 100% of all your transactions. It would be impossible. It'd be 365 days worth of work. But we do go in and look and see and do analyticals to make sure that what you're presenting as your financial statements is materially correct. So this report has gotten longer and longer over the years. So if you'd like to read it, that's fine. But like I said before, either you're financially minded and you love numbers and you really want to dive into this thing and see where everything sits, or you're kind of not. So this thing is broken up into sections for each type of individual. The very first section is the management discussion and analysis. That is a brief overview of what's inside these financial statements. It just kind of tells you what the changes are, what the highlight things were, what was most important that we looked at, and then you even get a section in the back of it where your city manager gets to talk about all the things that are coming up and how well y'all progressing and things that have affected you over the years. So if you don't read anything else in this report, I would highly suggest that you go through and read this front cover, because it gives you a pretty good overall view of what happened for this audit. And then you have the second section, which would be the basic financial statements, and that's going to give you your actual financial statements. That's what the banks are going to be looking at, and the granting agencies want to see, and how you did. And if you flip right over to page 11, you got two sets of financial statements. You've got the first set of financial statements, which is GASB's attempt, that's the Government Auditing Standards Board. It's the GASB's attempt to try to make these business financial statements. As you know, governments keep their books completely differently than businesses do. Well, not completely, but mostly differently than businesses do. Especially in the state of Mississippi. In the state of Mississippi, you're required to keep your books on a modified accrual accounting, which is effectively cash. You keep it on your budget accounting. You don't book in a bunch of accruals, and you don't look to the future and do prepaids and stuff like that. You try to keep it on a match to what you actually budget, so that those two numbers, you're not comparing apples and oranges, you're actually comparing numbers that are relatively correct. This front set right here is like the business. We pick up all the accruals, we pick up all the accounts receivables that we think are coming in. We accounts payables that go beyond the current obligations, which would be anything that went beyond the 60 to 90 days. We pick all of that up on this set of financial statements. And this set of financial statements, generally, I will warn people, watch out, that net position doesn't mean anything, because, okay, I didn't say that out loud. I just kind of say that it didn't mean anything, because most cities have that pension liability on here. So if you look at any other city on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, you're going to see a negative net position most times because of that huge pension liability. But cities have seen as how Diamond Head never elected to go into the PERS system, you don't see that number on there, which is kind of a big thing. But like I said, this is a good set of financial statements, but if you really want to know what's going on with the city, flip over to page 13. That is your fund statement. That's closer. Now, we do a little adjusting here. We do pick up 60 and 90 days out that you won't see in the reports that you get presented to you on the modified cash basis or budget basis. So this report will look just a little different than the one you get in September 30th. Because we do go out, we pick up some grants receivables, we pick up a few payables, we do wages payable and the such. But this is essentially how the city did for last year. And you'll see, we're required to report to you what GASB considers the major funds, and I'm not going to go into all the criteria for that, but these will change sometimes. So you'll see some of your funds are specific and laid out, and then the rest of them are all lumped in other governmental funds. So that's why it's laid out that way. But if you look overall, if you flip 2 pages over, if you look overall on page 15, your net change in fund balance is $3.8 million to the positive. That's good. That's always good. Any positive number there is good. All right. You will, however, go all the way over to the left side of the page and see that your general fund change in fund balance is $1.1 negative. All right? Anybody got any idea why that is? That's because you transferred money out of the general fund to these other funds. And from what I can tell, most of that is, these transfers is your matching for the grant monies coming in. So just would like to warn you, be a little careful when you start accepting these grants, and they like giving you these grants. You gotta keep in the back of your mind, do we have the match? Are we gonna generate enough revenue to support our operations and match that grant? Because sometimes those grants come with 20% match. So that's kind of what happened here. I mean, your fund balance is still fine, but that's kind of what happened here, is that you took 1.5 million out of your operations to match those grants for this construction. All right, that's just one thing I'd like to point out, be careful with. All right, so that's that set of financial statements, and if you'll see, the pages in between these is the reconciliation. So here's your fund balance sheet, and the next page is the reconciliation that takes you back over to these business type. So that's just fun if you like puzzles. So, all right. So that's for people who want to see the financial statements. For all you guys that just really love numbers, you want to know where every number came from, we got about 30 pages of notes here for you. These notes will talk about all your city policies, how you recognize financial situations, what you do in financial situations. It goes in and explains to you most of the numbers that are on your balance sheet. Where that number came from, what makes that number up, all the legal liabilities and such that go with those numbers. You know, if it's like cash, you know, how is your cash protected? If it's in the bank, you don't qualify for the $250,000, you know, but it's of course, we go in here, you make securities, your bank sets securities up with the state. One of the reasons why you don't get as much interest income or interest, because it costs banks so much to mess with your funds now. But that's right. But this goes on and on. I'm not going to take you through it because, you know, if you want to see what the details of some of these numbers are, then that gives you everything you need. If you flip on page to 39, then we start on the special reports. If this was a single audit, you have more letters in here. And what constitutes a single audit is when you expend more than $750,000 worth of federal funds. Y'all expended a lot of grant funds, but a lot of it wasn't, most of it wasn't federal. You're getting a lot more money from the state than you are getting from the federal. That's why you have such a high match. But so this wasn't a single audit. So the only letter back here that you're going to find is the one that's required by government auditing standards. And what we say with that is that we looked at the overall compliance with governmental auditing standards and what you're doing, like how you depreciate and what governmental auditing standards sets for you guys, the big things. We looked at that, and we didn't find any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. And then you'll see there's a limited liability letter, limited internal control letter, that's a state letter, and that's where we took a little deeper dive. And tonight you're going to see the municipal compliance questionnaire. That's a very important thing for you guys to really pay attention to and look at the yeses and the nos answers on that municipal compliance questionnaire. You don't actually file that. It's just for you to look at and put it across your minutes. And that's one of the things that the checks and balances that I believe for the council to make sure that their comptroller is doing what they're supposed to do. Because if there's a no on that municipal compliance questionnaire without a reason why, you should find out and you should know, because that is compliance with state laws. And that's kind of what we look at when we make this letter. We take a look at your municipal compliance questionnaire and we go through all those legal items to make sure that you're complying with it. Now, I'm kind of lenient because there just is absolutely no way sometimes that you can comply to some of those things, like with inventory. I mean, everything's supposed to have a sticker on it. I mean, everything, water hoses, you know, handheld calculators. Some of the legalities are a little antiquated, so we just kind of, if it's not material, we say, yeah, you complied. I mean, the big stuff, you know, as long as your vehicles are marked appropriately, you know, that they're tagged appropriately, and the bigger compliance things that you have to do. Going out to bid for the city depository, one of those things. So we you know, like I said, we didn't find anything that was not in compliance with the state. And then, if you're ever looking at another set of financial statements with somebody else, and you just kind of want to know how they're doing, want to compare, this page right here is probably the best one to look at with comparison, because this is page 42. it's the summary, the schedule of findings and question cost. And that will list out on every city whether or not they got an unmodified opinion. You'll see here that you had 3 opinion units. It's not just 1 opinion unit. We call it 3 because we have to do opinion on overall, and we have to do an opinion on your major funds, and then we have to do an opinion on all the aggregated. So you can have a modified opinion on one of those with an overall modified opinion. But you can look, lots of times you don't see, this is good. Let's put it this way. This is very good. You have unmodified opinions on everything, and you have no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies, and no noncompliance noted. So this is the best report that you can get. That's about it. I do have this one letter here, and I'm really not going to go over it. This is required by GASB to present to you. It talks about, you know, if we had any disagreements with management, if, you know, what we found or what we thought was your biggest estimate, because, you know, some of these numbers in here are estimates of estimates of estimates, you know, like depreciation. It's an estimate. We can do the best we can. But it's an educated guess. It's an educated guess, but it is an estimate. So we do say in this letter what we did deem as an estimate, and then, you know, if we had disagreements, and then whether or not we went out to, you know, we found something that was so bad that we had to go find a consultant to tell us what was wrong, and we didn't have it. So this is just the standard form. We didn't have anything much else to add. We will be sending over, we did have a few adjustments, immaterial, to the financial statements, so we will be sending over the adjusting journal entries to get those straight. There's like four? I think it was 4, yeah, that we changed. This is, sorry, I mean, I'd like to make it more exciting, but the less exciting it is, the better it is for you. Do y'all have any questions for me?
No news is good news.
Councilman Moore,
No, ma'am.
Councilman Clark,
No, ma'am.
Councilman Cumberland,
No, thank you.
Okay.
Councilman Lisi,
No, thank you.
Councilman Finley.
No, ma'am.
I have a few questions.
Okay.
So, first, on the inventory, that was my biggest question. So, did you go through, because I've been through a lot of audits as general manager of 2 utility districts, and I mean, we knew down to how many T's we had in the box. The inventory was that precise that we knew. And rightfully you want that. This is everybody's money in one checking account, and we are held accountable for every dollar.
Okay.
So on the inventory, you know, we had to mark, and it wasn't easy. Everything, every piece of inventory was marked. So how deep did you go down into the inventory?
Not at all.
checking that it was-
Not at all. You're speaking on not at all. You're speaking on a utility district, which would be an enterprise fund, which is run like a business fund, which you would have to do inventory if it's material. You would have to go in and do inventory and account for and index and such. But as a city, as a governmental, we consider inventory as purchased. What it would be is the instant that you purchase it, it's used as far as governmental goes. So if you had a material inventory, that's one of the things that I was really confused about and asked when I first started working on your financials, because I don't know if you guys realize I was the very first auditor when you incorporated. So, when we come back and I see inventory on your financial statements, and I questioned why would you have, you don't usually see inventory on governmental financial statements, especially in the amount that it was. So with $41,000, $44,000, yeah, it's not even material. It doesn't even hit the materiality threshold. So I just kind of recommended that there's a lot of effort going into a number that, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying don't keep an inventory. Wait a minute. I'm not saying don't keep an inventory, because, yeah, it would be required that you keep an inventory to keep an eye on what you're doing. But as for financial statement purposes, it's not even, we don't even consider it. We just look at analyticals, so look like it's okay. You purchased about this much
So
and
you
it's fine.
don't check the list to say that we had 5 chainsaws
No.
and a backhoe, and you don't check equipment?
No, not on that level, no. No, that would,
Okay.
yeah, that would just be, way overkill. That's your responsibility to keep up with your inventory. I mean, when we go in and do an inventory, well, most of the time we do inventory or anything that would be considered equipment purchases in anything over what we capitalize, which would be $5,000, then we'll pull a test and we make sure that those assets actually exist. But anything under $5,000, we're, like I said, we don't audit the city for 100% compliance. We audit the city and give an opinion on materiality. It's materially correct. So if we had a problem, or we suspected fraud, or we thought, we got an indication that somebody was stealing, then yes, we may pull a test, but that would be for fraud only. And we had no suspicion of fraud.
Okay, outstanding court bonds, I'm assuming that's a liability that we have that outstanding court bonds set up. Has that decreased in the FY '23 from the FY '22? Where do we stand with that?
Well, I don't think so, did we? I don't think I think it slightly decreased, but I'd have to pull my work papers, because I did do some analytical on the collections process on that, and I always look for something over 90%, and I'm quite sure you passed the over 90%. I don't know what the overall outstanding balance is without pulling my work papers, but I will tell you that it is normal. It's common. It's there is not a city on the Gulf Coast that doesn't have millions and millions of dollars of uncollected court fines. You can't write anything off.
That's probably a very true statement, but I'm only worried about one, and that's the city of Diamond Head. So
Right.
I just want to see
Your
what
collection-
we can do with it.
I'm sorry.
We are collecting them.
Yeah, your collection rate is over 90%. That's one of the first tests I pull to make sure it's your collection rate.
Well, then that's a positive. If
Right.
we're collecting over 90%, then that's a positive.
Right. Yeah, if anything that would be below that, then we have to extend our testing. So,
So
Yeah.
on the financial status, you had mentioned that our match funds, we have to be very cautious, and budget amendments. We've done 2 recently. Did you check on the grants because we have a lot of grants, and a lot of them are from the state. We've had wonderful legislators in the past that have worked hard. We've worked hard with them to secure all this funding, and a lot of them are matched. Did we look at the grants that we have outstanding with the match funds to see that we have it all set aside and ready to move forward with the grants that are coming up?
yes, that was the first thing that caught my eye. You're establishing separate funds for match. I don't know why you're doing that, but yeah, the MDA. I'll talk to you about that. Yeah, it looks like everything that you've got in so far. That's why, like I said, I pointed to the money general fund to get those matches. It looks like as the matches are coming in, that you're setting up matching. As the grants are coming in, you're setting up matching funds in separate funds that shows that amount. I don't know about anything in the future. Remind you that we're doing September 30, 2023. So anything that's up into 2024, beyond 60 days, we probably didn't look at to make sure. But it looks like you're as of 2023, you do have everything set aside. Just be cautious, be mindful. Even when you get you have a contracted police department, but a lot of these times cities get all these wonderful HIDA grants and these police grants, and oh yay, but they've got a 20% match, and they're not paying attention to. They got to take that out of the general fund of some tax revenue. Did I answer your question?
You did. I just wanted to make sure that we were looking into the future and looking at them, because when I see budget amendments, I get nervous, and I send emails. How much is left in the general fund? That's something that we need to watch. We do have our $2 million in the emergency fund.
That's good.
And everything's going up in price. We know materials are, gas is, fuel is, diesel, everything's going up. So we have to be very mindful on the spending.
Yeah, it's nice. It's an 80% off coupon. As long as you got the 20% to pay for it, it's an 80% off coupon. So you just got to make sure. Just be careful. Like I said, that $2 million that you got set aside, is a very good idea for those overruns, because she's right. You're going to have cost overruns for these bigger,
All right,
huge commissions.
that's all the questions I had. Thank you.
Is that it? All right. Like I said, you can call us year-round, honestly. If you ever have, you know, the city clerk does that. But you guys, we work for you, all right? And if you have a question, anything about the finances, you get a budget report that you don't understand, or you see something funny on it, that, I might be able to get down the details with you, but I might be able to tell you where it came from or how it got there, how they added it up or whatever. So, yeah, just feel free to call us if y'all have any questions. We can be any help. All right? Thanks.
All right,
Thank
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, city managers report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just give you an update on the projects we have going on and how everything's going. The MDOT projects, the MDOT has closed Jack's Drive and the exit from the four-way stop, or the entrance and exit, as well as the on-ramp headed west on the interstate. There's some discussion as to whether that's going to stay closed because of the amount of traffic that's going on exit 20. So I was got in the middle of a discussion there at lunch time today with MDOT and TL Wallace, and they were trying to get a decision back and haven't heard the answer to that. So it's possible that they may reopen that ramp temporarily until the situation at exit 20 is resolved, and then close that ramp back off. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what the overall is. As far as Jack's Drive, the hope is, depending on the weather and how everything goes, they don't expect that to be closed more than 2 weeks to get that entire area taken care of, as well, Jack's Drive as well as Jack's Road. So we'll have to wait and see. We have some great weather right now, so if they can get it done at this time, that would be great. The Park 10 Road, that contract is now for 483 days, which will end December 31st. The contractor's working on the leisure time extension roadway, as well as trying to make the progress up to the end on the east side of the new roadway. The new water meters are getting installed so that they can fix or complete the irrigation installation, as well as the curb and gutter and sidewalks on that entire project. So progress has kind of gotten slow, but we hope to get that picked back up and get them finished here in the next 2 to 3 months. Bowview 2, contractor has cleared around the new ditch area and has completed all debris removal that will happen there. So the only thing that should happen next would be digging of the ditches and installing the rock and the mat and whatever that they have, as well as removing the drain, the existing drains that are there, and then installing it into, or then connecting to the current drainage structures that are already in the ground. So they should be working on that one, and they have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow on that. Kalikaway, the engineers assessing the roadway repairs for this project, and we'll be working on the final designs and get that to the contractor hopefully very soon, and then we'll have to get a change order out to the council to increase that overall project, which will be covered under the ARPA funding. Noma Drive Phase 1B, 180 calendar days, current end date of January 7th. If any of you haven't seen the new pier and the area, the work being done out there, I'd encourage you to go try to take a ride down there during the day, or at least keep an eye on our Facebook page with the updates we have. The pier itself is complete. They have to install the lighting for it right now, and the comfort station itself is actually, we're going to deliver that to them tomorrow so that they can get that installed, and then the roof material is supposed to be delivered tomorrow, and they'll get that added on to the whole project. So they're finishing up and getting that the entire thing complete, and it really looks great down there. So get a chance. The kayak launch is supposed to be either delivered tomorrow or first of next week, and they'll get that installed as well. So they're doing great work down there and getting that finished. Colo Court, we did a walkthrough on Monday on that. There was no punch list needed on that, so the final closeout documents will be issued, and I'll get it to you guys for council approval at the next meeting. Turnberry, 120-day project that currently ends December 25th. Contractor completed the dredging of the pond and regrassing everything, and it totally transformed that pond into a completely different looking area, and it looks beautiful. If any of you have a chance to drive by there, or if you're on a golf cart and go by and take a look at that one, it's beautiful out there. They have started work on the culverts, and they are doing as many as they can each day so that they can open the road back up for night so people can travel through, but during the day the roads will be closed. There's sewer conflicts every so often for the different houses, so they have to work around those and get those get the conflict boxes installed for those. So but they are working on that and just moving along step by step on that and getting started, or has gotten started and gotten probably maybe a fourth of the way done, maybe already. Somewhere close to that. They're moving along pretty good on that one. Calais Street, that project was for 90 days to end November 25th. They completed everything on there, and we'll probably do a walkthrough there maybe first of next week to make sure everything's finished and see if there's any punch list items. The Hilo master drainage and the Ahuli Place drainage project, those two are kind of being on hold until they can get the Turnberry project complete, and then they'll get started on those. They say they'll probably start on Ahuli first, and then work the Hilo project last, simply because of the number of days. That Hilo project has more contract days on it. Coon Branch, the engineer's finalizing the design and hopes to have that out for bid next month. The Noma Drive dredging project, the bids came in today. We opened those. They were a little bit higher than we wanted, but they're under review by the engineer currently, and we'll get that to you guys at the next council meeting for review and approval. Dog Park, we met with Oshner this week. They're still very much on board with the location. I'll be providing an update to the county next week, and we'll have the area surveyed and get a legal description written so that we can work on a lease agreement with option to purchase and get that to you guys. Comey Drive and Calapacona Pond, the engineers are here tonight to present that project to you guys to look at. 90% drawings. And we'll on the council meeting tonight, I have permission to advertise. It'll still be a few weeks off before we actually get out to advertising on this. Canal dredging, that grant agreement is on the agenda tonight for your approval, so that we can get that back to MDEQ and get that entire project started and finalized. Again, we're expecting that one to go out for bid or get started sometime in March or April of next year. But we would like to get it out for bid here very soon and get the contractor under contract here. Unit price project, I have 5 different projects that we're working on under the unit price contract. 2 of those projects, Kapapa Way and Kiko Street, will be worked on by the Public Works Department once the engineers can get the surveying work back to me to get the slopes and everything that we need on those projects for Public Works to do. The other 3, Diamond Drive East, Cocoa Court, and Lala Way, will be utilizing the unit price contract itself to get those projects done. So I'm just waiting on the designs back from the engineer, and they're just in the queue, and hopefully will be out soon. The other projects that we have are just on hold until we can get more information and contracts done and whatever it is that we need. So they just, nothing new happened on those this month. And that's it.
Councilman Muller, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have one or two. I'm glad to hear that MDOT and the contractor got together today with you, which I was questioning whether the two talked at all, the contractor and MDOT. So I am very disappointed in their lack of communication in a meaningful way for the citizens of Diamond Head. And at least we know that they are talking, because I honestly thought that MDOT was doing one thing and the contractor was just going ahead with what was his schedule. So that's good. Keep us informed as much as you can with that. And then the other one was just a matter of explanation. Unit price projects. What exactly is a unit price project?
Gosh, 3 or 4 months ago, we did a blanket bid to get unit pricing on individual things, putting in a culvert, digging a ditch, anything like that that's bigger than something that Public Works can do. And so these are 5 projects. 2 of them are just surveying, that the engineers are just providing us the surveying to show where the fall needs to occur and where the water needs to flow. And Public Works are going to take care of those 2. The others is replacing driveway culverts and sideway and road culverts to help water flow properly as it needs to. Like on Lala Way, as the water's coming down that hill, it just sheds across the road and completely covers the road during a rainstorm. So we're going to put a culvert underneath to get it from going from the right side to the left side, or left side to right side, whichever, so that the water's not shedding across the road.
Okay, do these fall under the bid requirement amount to do?
Yeah, well, exactly, because we bid this all out, and we have, 3 or 4 contractors actually bid on this, and they gave us a price for, this is how much we'll charge you for each one of these items, whatever it may be. You know, you want to install a 24-inch culvert, here's what the price is.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Councilman Clark?
Thank you. For the dog park, we're working on the lease agreement with that. Are they doing any kind of sponsorship or helping out with that also, or are they just going to be helping out with the property / building area?
They actually mentioned that they would probably be interested in also providing some sort of sponsorship for that area as well. But, you know, giving us the land would be a great step one, but, you know, if they want to also help sponsor it as well, would be great too. But
Fantastic.
we'll continue those discussions with them.
And then I emailed you earlier about the police presence on Kapalama. Have you spoke with captain or chief about that?
I spoke to the chief. He was having a meeting this afternoon, I believe he said, with the sheriff, and was going to bring that up to him. And I haven't heard an answer back yet, but I
That's okay.
hope it went well and they all understand.
Fantastic. One more question. I know we're pushing back or you said we're pushing back the Hilo Master projects.
Well, not necessarily pushing back. They're just not working on it yet because it had 150 days on the total contract.
Right.
So its end date is, I'm going to lie to you and tell you, like January 15th.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're trying to get these others that have earlier dates on them to get them to make sure they meet the contract time. So then they'll pick that one up as soon as they. I really think they're going to jump on the Ahuli, but probably split their manned power and do both projects kind of at the same time as they after they get Ahuli kind of started.
Right,
That makes sense.
yeah, because that's what I was thinking about, the one on Hilo Way. I mean, that ditch just keeps getting ate out every single time.
And I keep telling the contractor, that the Ahuli ones are probably easier ones to do. Simply, put in a culvert and they're practically done. So those could be the easier ones to get to. The Hilo ones. The Ahuli one is going to be a really long, big project to do. So, but they understand their deadline on both. Or I think the Ahuli is the 25th of December or something to that effect. So they've got to get done before then, and then they'll have time to work on those Hilo ones. So,
Right.
But I kind of think they'll work both of them together almost simultaneously to
Okay.
finish.
Well, if you can we push that one a little bit ahead of everything else? All right. Thank you. That's it.
Councilman Cumberland?
John, we talked today, earlier, evidently Austin already talked to you as well about the traffic control in Kapalama.
Yes.
And I just want to reiterate that is a very busy intersection between, I don't know, probably 6:30 and 7:30, 8 o'clock. And any assistance that we could get in that area, I think, would be helpful. if the sheriff's department could help us with that. The other question I had was Diamond Head Drive East, the unit price project that they were asking about. What are we doing at Diamond Head Drive East? Is that the project right over here?
It is the project right over here. The same thing as on Lala Way. When it rains, the culverts fill up and the water is shedding across the road. So it's several landscape culverts in a row. So we're going to just tear all that out and redo all that area so that the water stays in the ditch and is not shedding across the road, creating a hazard for drivers as they're coming down through Diamond Head Drive.
I got you. Yep. That gentleman had asked about, I think he was in here at the last meeting, or the one before, and so that's
I
good.
believe so,
Thank you.
yes.
I appreciate that.
All right.
That's it.
Councilman Lisi?
Thank you. John, I just wanted to thank you and the city staff, especially Public Works, for the wonderful event at Cruisin' the Coast, the Blessing of the Classics last week. It was all just really wonderful. I know you had no control over the weather, but even that cooperated. It was just well done, well coordinated, and I know everybody worked very hard, so thank you so much for all of that. And then, just so there's no speculation, the lease with Oshner about the dog park, and I know you're still working out the details, what are you anticipating? Is that going to actually cost us real money, or what do you think is going to happen with that?
With our discussions, no, I don't believe so. I think the lease will be since they still quote unquote lease the property as well and are paying for that. The lease will run concurrent with their lease until they own the property, and then as Derek and I have discussed, putting in there some sort of option either to purchase if we have to purchase, or then it would be a turnover. And the lease would just be the easiest and quickest way to get the ownership of the property. The other would be to have to split that out and re-subdivide that entire property again. And it would take, several months to get through that. So we can always start on that process in the background and work on that as we're going. But this would be the quickest way to get this project moving forward.
That's great. And I know we've said before that they've been very generous to offer us use of their parking lot.
Correct.
And there's lighting there, and they're not charging us for that, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that's good news. Thank you. And lastly, I know there's been some speculation on social media that MDOT might have a problem giving the city access to complete drainage projects along the sound wall. Do you anticipate any problem with getting access from MDOT?
I haven't had that discussion with them one way or the other. That's going to really be the contractor to make that determination as to how he wants to access that drainage project itself.
Mm-hmm.
I've had some minor discussions with MDOT as in general, but none that we've had, and I don't see that it would be a big issue one way or the other. As we, they currently are accessing their project from our land, so I don't see why they wouldn't return that favor to us. But when we get closer to that project and
Okay.
get ready to do it, I'll certainly get that discussion going.
Well, that's good to know. Okay, thank you so much. That's all I have.
Absolutely.
Councilman Finley?
Thank you. John, on Bayou Circle, there was looking to fill that to prevent the vehicles from falling off, and it doesn't show a update on that.
I did not get one. That one's just sort of on the Public Works' list of to-dos, and just they have not had a chance to get over there. Lots of other things have been going on, but I will check on that to see where that is on their list.
Okay, and when Noma Drive is completed, are we planning on having cameras on site there? Multiple cameras?
Which
No,
one?
At the end of Noma Drive?
At Noma Drive, we have not looked into that yet, but we certainly can, as I think that would probably be a good thing, to have cameras down there to prevent any damages caused to the property as soon as we get finished building it down there.
It's just out of the way.
Yeah.
We can discuss it down the road. I just like to
Certainly.
keep it on the
Okay.
table.
Certainly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. That's all.
Okay, I have a few questions. ago, you said you'd get me an answer. What is the status on this? Because I still don't have an answer on what we're gonna do to correct this drainage so these people's garage does not flood again.
Well, it was actually on the last city manager report, but as I sent to you earlier in an email, that Public Works has already went out, met with the resident, and has devised a plan, and it's on the list to get done.
So do you know what the plan is?
I do not. That's Public Works. They're going to dig the ditch and solve the problem.
Can you email me tomorrow and let me know what they plan to do on that? Because I'm curious about what they're doing to fix that.
I will. The resident knows what they're doing and is very happy with it overall, and will solve the problem that they have there. But I will
That's
certainly
wonderful.
check on it.
So I'd like to know what it is, if you don't mind, because I keep up with the drainage all over the city. Thank you, if you could send it tomorrow. Another thing, you know the dog park benches that the scout made for the dog park? The
Yes, ma'am.
benches that we put out at the kayak launch?
Yes, ma'am.
Could we get some of those placed along Noma Drive so that a lot of residents are using the new walk on Noma Drive, which is beautiful. They're out there all day long, every day. If we could put benches so people could sit and rest a moment, that would be excellent. Could we move a few of those from the kayak launch out to Noma Drive?
I will get that to Public Works to work on.
Thank you. The other thing is, I noticed this morning that there's some trash along there, and people probably would be happy to pick it up if they had maybe 2 garbage cans, because it's about a half a mile from City Hall to the end where the roundabout is. If you could put maybe 2 cans and people would utilize them while they're out there, or even pick up garbage if they see it. Could we get some garbage cans out there along Nova?
We can look at ordering some. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said we can look at ordering some.
Okay, thank you, that would be wonderful. The other thing was the Comey that's on the agenda. Are the plans for those, are they ready to,
The engineer's here tonight to discuss them.
he has a set of plans?
They're in the presentation. Yes, ma'am.
Is he doing a presentation?
Yes, ma'am. And the plans are in the presentation.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yes, ma'am. The plans are in the presentation that he's going to do tonight for us.
Okay, he's gonna do it in part of your city manager's report?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The other thing, the change order for Turnberry drainage project is significantly high. So it's $85,997.50, and the majority of it was for sewer service adjustment. So was this sewer not picked up? Because I see we got conflict boxes added so that the sewer can run through and it wouldn't be an issue. How did we not know about those?
No, ma'am. After the project was bid and as the contractor started, Water and Sewer came and would not allow us to do it as designed and required the changes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. The other question I had was, we have a resident that works at Infinity State Center. This isn't a question, this is a statement. And they are collecting food for the food pantry. You know, the food pantry is always needing food. There's always a shortage, and in this economy, there's really a shortage. Would you mind if they put a box in the foyer to collect food for the food pantry?
Certainly, they just need to contact me.
Thank you. That's all I have. Okay, so now we have, who do we have there with Covington that's going to discuss the Comey Drive drainage?
Yes, ma'am. First off, I do want to give an update, as I totally forgot, as far as cruising the coast. That was a wonderful event that we did have last week. We had probably, we're guessing right around 300 cars, plus minus, classic cars that participated in I think about 250 to 260 of those actually participated in the parade itself, and the rest kind of stayed here at City Hall. So we had a great event, and a lot of people turned out to enjoy the bands and looking at the cars. So that was a great event. And, of course, our barbecue and brews coming up in November next is the next big event that we have that we hope to see the residents come out for. But for the presentation, I have Ben Benvenuti and Nathan Law here from Covington Engineering. They're going to talk about the Comey Drive and Calapacona Pond drainage project.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having us. Good evening, council, mayor, city manager. As John mentioned, we're going to talk about the Comey Drive and Calapacona Pond. Comey Drive is going to be replacing, upsizing landscape culverts that are preventing the amount of flow that we're seeing on Comey Drive to access those inlets and the pipes. And then we are turning the Calapacona Pond into a better detention area. And so I'll let Nathan actually speak to that.
Yes.
So Nathan is a younger engineer with our firm, and this is his first time speaking in front of a city council. So I'm super excited for that, and don't take it easy on him.
Thank you. As Ben said, I'm Nathan Long. I'm with Covington Civil and Environmental, and I'm going to go over this brief PowerPoint just to give everybody an idea of what the Comey Drive and Calapacona Pond drainage project consists of. No. You can go to the next one. Does the arrows work? There we go.
Say, did Ben sabotage you?
So this project is kind of split into two different areas. The first of which is the Comey Drive area. Ben kind of mentioned these, but I'll go over them again. The issue with Comey Drive we've identified is there's localized flooding along the roadway during heavy rain events. So to solve this, we're proposing to improve the landscape piping along those roadside ditches and along the roadside, as well as the culvert road crossings. The Calapacona Pond is the second part of this project. Again, it's the same concept. There's localized flooding immediately downstream of the pond during heavy rain events. So we are, as Ben said, proposing to retrofit the existing pond into a retention area. To do this, we were planning to lower the still water surface elevation, and then, of course, to dredge the existing pond to make sure there's adequate depth in the pond after we lower the water surface elevation. I know this one's hard to see. I've zoomed in on the other slides, but this is just kind of an overview of where this project is at along Comey Drive, and I believe it's and Anila Street is how you pronounce that. It's where it intersects. First, on this western side, the flow is naturally going from east to west. In this orientation, north is upward. So from right to left is the natural flow, the natural drainage. There's currently drainage pipes along these roadways, but they are undersized for the majority of them. So we're planning to upsize these, and you can see anywhere where it has the DI, that's the drainage inlets. We're proposing to make sure enough water is captured and can leave those properties and the roadway and enter those culverts. As it continues down Anila Street south, there's the channel. I don't know if there's a name for that channel, but there's the channel that goes behind these houses that all kind of empties into. And then on the east side, this is, they kind of disconnect for a little bit, but on this east side, there's a roadway crossing that we'd be upsizing that connects to a new proposed junction box. In between those two houses on the bottom right corner of Comey Drive, there is a existing drainage pipe that goes between those houses to that same channel ditch, and that culvert there is adequately sized, so it would just be upsizing what connects to that culvert. Switching to the second part of the project, Calipacona Pond. This is just an overview of what the pond looks like currently, and then with the proposed contours over the top of it. We will be, as I mentioned, dredging the pond to a bottom elevation of 8.5 feet elevation. With the still water surface elevation, it would be reduced by 3 feet, of course, to increase the storage capacity. This is the detail kind of what we are proposing for that outlet structure. If you go back one page quickly, if you can't, there you go. That yellow line on the bottom left corner, that's the new proposed outlet structure and outlet pipes. You can switch back, please. So by doing this, we will be able to control the discharge downstream and make sure it's dependent on the varying stages of the rainfall event. And I believe that is all of this presentation. If anybody has any questions.
Councilman Marr?
No, ma'am.
Councilman Cumberland?
Yes. Austin, do you have anything?
Thank you.
The size, how much of an increase are you expecting when the
For the
landscape
Comey
culverts?
side, for the landscape culverts?
Yeah.
Most of them are pretty minor. Really, the largest increases are the roadway crossings. As far as the landscape culverts themselves, they're pretty much increasing by one standard size. A couple of them may be two sizes, but for the most part, it's just two. I mean, it's just one. So saying from a 18 to a 24 inch.
And this will be similar to what we did on Kaliki with going through, cutting people's driveways and putting in new
Correct.
landscape culverts. And this is going in Montoy Creek, the canal you're talking about. That's where our bank stabilization project is, correct? Are we going to be doing that in unison, or is that going to be before or after? Or?
This one will be before. We're not putting any more water necessarily into Montoy Creek. All this water is going overland from the roadway, through yards, cross driveways, back into Montoy Creek.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I had. Thank you.
Councilman Clark?
No, ma'am.
Councilman Lacey?
No, thank you.
Councilman Finley?
No, ma'am.
I have a few questions on the Calipacona Pond. So you're saying that you're lowering the level of the pond? Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Okay. So we did this once before on Turnberry, and it did not turn out so good. So are we sure that you're lowering it to a level that is going to be safe and it's not going to be lowered too much? It's going to impact the aesthetics of the pond. And what are we doing about the bank erosion? Because we've got some of those homes, I mean, that have backyards, the banks are just totally gone, and part of their yard is falling off in the pond. And I know you said you're going to restore it and dredge it, but probably the biggest factor of that pond is the erosion. And then when you go further down all see the sewer lines that are exposed crossing over the outfall ditch?
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanna make sure you got the velocity of the water going and everything's not gonna impact those that are there.
No, so the intent of the project is to provide additional storage in Calpacona Pond to reduce the velocities through varying storm events downstream, because that's where we had homes flood previously, and so we want to reduce the amount of water going downstream through varying storm events. And
Did you do soundings on the pond? Do we know how much we need to dredge out? Do we know the existing bottom?
we did, and so there will be areas in the, is it northwest, or I think the furthest point from the road, there are wetland areas that has sediment above the water surface elevation now. We're not dredging those. We're not dredging that area. When we drop the water surface elevation by 3 feet approximately, the pond, the wetted area of the pond will get smaller when we don't have rain events. And so the wetted area of the pond will shrink. You'll have more bank area, but that's what gives us the ability to increase capacity of the pond.
Okay, so you dredge
Can
it
we-
out in the center of the pond, out away from the bank.
Yes, we're going to keep it at a 3-to-1. We're going to keep it at a 3-to-1 side slope, and I don't know if you can see the presentation, Mayor, but we're going to keep it at a 3-to-1 side slope. So that area will be grassed or hydroseeded and will be able to be maintained. Aesthetically, it should be fine. If you look back, assuming the page north there? So if the page is north on the east side, looking from Calpacona, look to the right, that back area right now is already above the water in a lot of areas. We're not dredging back there to stay out of regulatory issues. That could be added in the future if we wanted to, but our modeling and the project area is limited to the wetted area you're seeing now.
Okay, I just wanna make sure, 'cause
In any area,
that is a major pond.
any area that you're looking at right now that's shown on the screen will be dredged. That area you will not see sediment protruding through the water surface on the still water elevation after we're done.
Okay, all right, that's all the questions, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And just to add, go ahead.
Is there any public comment?
I was going to say one more thing, that if y'all approve or authorize us to advertise, I think that's the 31st of this month is when we'd advertise. The day it would go in the paper. Over the next couple of weeks, we'll reach out to the residents along Comey, let them know what's going on. That way, everybody understands what the scope of the project is.
So, Ben,
I knew you were going to ask that. I was asking Nathan. On Comey, I think it's around 800 to 1,200 feet of pipe, but I don't have that with me right now. I can get you that answer.
Okay, thank you. All right, well,
So-
thank you very much.
Mayor, can I just ask Ben a few questions just to follow up? Ben, you don't anticipate that we're going to require any additional easements or anything? With
No,
respect-
everything currently appears to be within the existing right-of-way.
Right. And so we are doing some work here replacing driveway culverts. And to your knowledge, these driveway culverts, as they exist, are either grandfathered in or were approved by the building official prior, or Public Works prior to their installation?
Correct.
And that they're working fine right now? It's not, these culverts have not failed?
No, the culverts, this is an increase in size.
Right, so it's as a result of trying to get this drainage to improve there, that the city, through its engineer, has decided that these culverts must increase in size in order to get the water where it needs to be. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Thank you,
Can I get a
John.
motion to approve the October 1st, 2024 regular meeting minutes?
Move. Finley.
Motion made by
Finley.
Motion made by Councilman Finley. Could I get a second?
Second, Clark.
Second, Mark, City Clerk.
Finley,
Yes.
Lisi.
Yes.
Cumberland,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Mayor.
Nay. Consent agenda. Could I get a motion to approve consent agenda items 3 through 15?
Was that 3 through,
Motion?
was that 3 through 15?
3, 16.
3 through 16, okay. I'll move.
Motion made.
Finley.
Who was the second?
I'll second, Lisi.
Okay, second by Lisi, City Clerk.
Finley,
Yes.
Lisi.
Yes.
Cumberland,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Mayor.
No. Action agenda items. Action agenda item 2024-272, motion to adopt the text amendment to the procedural ordinance 219-003.3 section -1. The presiding officer of the city council shall be the mayor, or his or her absence, the mayor pro tem. The presiding officer must be physically present in the council chambers. The presiding officer shall preserve strict order and decorum at all regular and special meetings of the council. He or she shall state every question coming before the council, announce the decision of the council on all subjects, and decide all questions of order subject, however, to appeal to the council, in which event a majority of the vote of the council membership shall govern and conclusively determine such questions of order. Such appeal shall be immediately presented and voted upon by the council. Motion?
So moved.
Cumberland, second.
Second. Lisi.
Lisi, discussion, Cumberland?
Yeah, the only thing added to this is the presiding officer must be physically present in the council chambers, and the reason I think that this is a good addition to this is basically just a common courtesy to the rest of the council. It's very difficult to hear when you're at home. I think a lot of us have had to call in at times, and I can't imagine trying to preside over a meeting from home. And again, just a courtesy to the rest of the council and a courtesy to the public that if the presiding officer cannot be present, then just pass that duty on to the mayor pro temp. It's just temporary, and I just think it's a good addition to the a good text amendment to the procedural ordinance.
Lisi?
I concur with what John said, and I don't think I have anything else to add. Thank you.
Councilman Moore?
I'm good.
Councilman Clark?
No comment.
Councilman Finley?
No comment.
Okay, I have several comments, because this is directly impacted toward me. Starting off first, I think the meeting has ran perfectly with me on the phone. We haven't had any issues. It moved smoothly, so it's been proven, yes, it can be done, and it's been flawless. Second of all, we all know that I have a rare disease, and I have an immune deficiency, and it's a very serious one. I act like it's not. I keep going, and I move constantly. And in certain events, if something would happen that would cause harm for me to be out sitting in the public, this would relinquish my right to be able to run the meeting. It would not allow me to be able to do what I'm supposed to do. So, and I sent several several emails to the city attorney, both of them, letting them know that I had concerns over this because this revokes and removes a right that I have, that every elected official that has served, to be able to do this. And specifically, and I'm not asking for any special favors. I never ask for anything. I keep going. I go above and beyond. So I'm not asking for anything special, not at all. I just feel that if this motion passes, then it will cause me to be excluded on something that I'm allowed to do because I have a rare disease, which is not very nice. So that's my thoughts on that. City Clerk?
Mayor, if you don't mind, this is Derek. I do have a comment. We did receive some correspondence from the mayor this afternoon about this topic. In addition to the mayor's concern, one of the things that I've thought about and I've looked at, if you look in our, you guys do have the ability to decide how to run your meetings. It's in your purview. We have a procedural ordinance. There are, however, some things that are statutory. In other words, you have to meet. And there are some things as to when you meet and how often you meet. In our statutes, 21.937, function of the mayor, it says that the mayor shall be the president of the council and shall have a voice and vote in the proceedings, but no power of veto. So the question I have, what you're asking for is to have someone else preside over the meeting. The statute says that the mayor is the president of the council. I would recommend that if y'all are thinking about this, authorize the city attorney to request an attorney general's opinion with respect to this, to just make sure that we have the authority to do this. I would not want to lead us down a road to something that we don't have the authority to do. This is different than the mayor's concern. I don't necessarily share the concerns that the mayor has, the reasoning that she had in our discussions that we had today. However, I do believe that getting an AG opinion, I think this is I've done some digging on it. I think it may be considered minutia, maybe a small point, but the statute does say the mayor is the president of the council. In the mayor's absence, it's clear. But you can attend by telephone, so I would suggest that we just get some clarification from the Attorney General. They may or may not provide it. It may take some time, but that would be my recommendation to y'all.
Okay, do we have a amended motion? Councilman Cumberland, do you wish to amend your motion?
Derek, if we were to amend the motion, what would it be? Are you saying that we need, your advice is to either not make the motion or table the motion until you can get an AG opinion?
You could do several things. You could table it. You could authorize the city attorney to get an AG's opinion. You could pass it subject to approval by the Attorney General. I'd suggest getting the AG's opinion first. That would be the way I would do it.
So then the motion would be request to have the city council to get an Attorney General ruling
As to whether or not this complies with the statute. Yeah. And I'll get a quick turn. I'll get it to the Attorney General as quickly as possible. Again, I know there's, it takes time, but we'll request it expedited.
Man, I hate to spend any money on something that we don't have to. So, but if that's what is your gut feeling?
I don't know. I did some digging on it. I think that there's two competing notions here. One is that you guys can decide how you want to run your meetings, but there are very limited powers of the mayor in our form of government, but one does say that the mayor is the president of the council. So I think that those competing notions, I don't know. I think it's a coin flip, but because technology has changed. I mean, we used to not have the ability to call in. You know, calling in, you couldn't get a quorum by calling in. Now, you know, you can have a quorum. You could all call in, and we still have a quorum. So, you know, some of it's a technological issue, I think, maybe for us, because there's some delays. There's some, you know, we've got the live streaming. There's some delays in the live streaming. I mean, there's some other options we could have the city explore with respect to Zoom meetings, something like that. Maybe that would solve the problem. You know, I don't know. There's, you know, but if we're going to take this step just to be safe, I'd rather be safe than sorry on it.
Mayor, I'm okay with just going forward with it unless you want to have more discussion, and then let's just have a vote.
No, go ahead and vote. You're confident that it's fine to do that. After legal said we probably need an AG's opinion, we'll roll with it. City clerk?
Finley,
No.
Lisi,
Yes.
Cumberland,
No.
Clark,
No.
Mar,
Abstain.
Mayor.
No. All right, motion 2024-259. Motion to request the mayor to provide the council with copies of any and all evidence she has collected, reported, and or provided to state authorities, included but not limited to the state auditor, the attorney general, the ethics commission, regarding any alleged impropriety involving the city staff, city administration, staff, and employees, as she announced on social media on 8/25. Motion,
So moved.
second.
Second.
Motion was made by Lisi, second by Cumberland. Lisi?
Thank you. My motives have been called into question regarding this motion. I've been accused of twisting, I think, the 8/25 social media post that I referenced in the motion. So to that end, I'd like to read it and ask that it be entered into the record, just so that the public is aware of what started this. So posted to social media on 8/25 by Mayor DePrio. Thank you to all the residents that have reached out to me over the past week. I greatly appreciate your comfort and support. When you have one of the most hardworking elected officials in Diamond Head have a council vote to censure you because they want to take away my right of speech, we are in serious trouble. You elected me to be your mayor, and they are trying to take your vote away and remove me from office. Sound familiar? If you know me, and many of you do, you should be very upset by this motion and very concerned. The time to speak up is now. Not one council member or the city attorney reached out to me about the incident at the activity room to ask my side of the story. Not one. One would think that was the city attorney's job, but where was he? Why did he not call me and ask me any questions? They acted like rats in a cheese factory scrambling for crumbs because all their prior attempts to discredit me could not reveal anything. We have DC politics sitting on the city council, and I will leave it to you to discover it. When I have been one of the most honest, hardworking elected officials, and people that have contributed nothing to our city want to try to take everything that I have worked for, that I have worked so hard for, away from me, I will no longer be silent. Unfortunately, because of the action of the council to try and smear my reputation, I have decided that it was best to email and mail all information that employees have given to me, that they had concerns about, to the appropriate state officials for their review. And I have also decided to take actions to protect myself and my family. I love our city, and I will continue to work hard for each of you, but I've taken so much, and it's impacting my health and the health of my family. Enough is enough. Okay, it clearly says that information was mailed and sent to the appropriate state officials. You know, social media is a wonderful way for us to communicate with the public if we so choose, but it's not a good way for us to communicate with each other. There are proper protocols for this kind of thing, starting with executive session. you know, we've talked a lot about teamwork, and the importance of it, and when we choose to alienate ourselves, excuse me, I'm not finished. When we choose to alienate ourselves, it does nothing to help us work as a team, and it does nothing to help us be an effective council. You know, we've got to understand that words matter, and when people see something on social media or public officials post or even say things in the public, people should be able to assume that they're true. And not, you know, they're not always true. And so if we're posting things that maybe not be true, they literally create liability, and words have a price tag. We cannot continue down this path. We've got to all get on the same page. I'm sorry that the mayor has been sick, but we haven't seen her in person since the incident on July 26th. And because of that, the only way that we're hearing from her is what we read on Facebook when we're called rats. So, on that note, I would like to move that if information was sent to state officials and state authorities as stated, that we would get looped in, that we would have access to any evidence that was collected. We need to know what's going on. We're not all on the same page, and for us to function effectively, we need to be. Thank you.
Councilman Cumberland?
My second experience here on city council, my second meeting, we were asked to go into executive session where this mayor made accusations against someone that we all found later to be false. I don't like the way that we talk about transparency, or some people talk about transparency, and then they hide their actions in executive session and in emails that they CC an attorney in so that they can have attorney-client privilege. What I've seen happen over the last 2 years, there's been a lot of things that have happened wrong. The people here on city council have learned from it, and we've done a pretty good job, I think, of controlling it and keeping things fair. But social media, you know, you don't have any control over that. So if that's what people want to do, you know, it's just sad. It just seems like it's just undermining the city, and every time you think it's going to slow down and stop, it just heats up again, and it's ridiculous. It doesn't need to happen. Everything is going so well in Diamond Head. We're growing. Our city manager's doing a good job. Our administration is doing a good job. We've got outstanding citizens in here. We've got a hotel that has totally rebuilt itself. We've just got so many good things that it's just constant negativity. It seems like it's spawned by just a very small group of people led by one or two. And I would just like to see it stop and see us focus on the things that are positive. And that's just my comment on it.
Councilman Moore?
Yeah, this is for all the council people and for everybody. If anybody has any suspicion or thoughts that anybody is doing wrongdoing, I would hope that they would bring and present it to the council, and that it would be investigated and looked at by our city attorneys, and if they felt it was above theirs, that they would get outside help. And I don't think anything should be done on social media that hasn't already been done in the city council chambers. And so I think anything that smacks of, oh, there's all this corruption and stuff going on, and there's no evidence, and there's nobody bringing forth that evidence for us to even look at, I think that's just dead wrong.
Councilman Clark?
I agree with Councilman Moore. That's it.
Councilman Finley?
More of the same. The social media it's embarrassing. It's below a city council. It's below a prison council. It's ridiculous. So I'll leave it at that.
say about this. First of all, before the news media was called to City Hall to blast my son and my photos all over the news and in the newspaper, someone should have called me. 2 people on the council worked overtime to discredit me. The entire city, 9,529 residents, see it. It's overtime. What people post on social media, to have someone think they are that bold and that big and above the rest of the citizens of Diamond Head, to put a motion like that on the agenda to say, I want to know what you said on Facebook, I want the information, shows what we're dealing with. This is second to wanting to take the American flag down. We live in America, people. We live in America, and it is turning. You see it every day, and we're allowing more and more and more of our rights to be taken. More and more. So you hadn't been focusing on challenging the mayor. Well, let's talk about a few things. September 19th, 2023. Motion to dissolve the mayor's steering committee. One of the few things the mayor had a right to do, set up in the ordinance to have steering committee. I had a group of people working their butts off on that dog park. Not one of you called, talked to them, or said anything. Didn't say we're dissolving it, y'all are gone. November 21st, 2023, motion to give back the dog park donation. We have been waiting on the dog park and something to happen. People worked endlessly to raise that money that is sitting in a bank account. We had to lose the grant that we had for it. There'll never be a dog park built in Diamond Head for $40,000. And that's all we had to have to build the dog park. December 19th, 2023, request for my email. Request for all my emails from the engineering firm. Who does this? I worked in an engineering firm for 40 years. I speak their language. I'm knowledgeable. You should be asking me, hey, what do you know about this or that? Not trying to chastise me and make me look guilty of a crime when I'm probably the most innocent person. December 19th again, asking again for the email. January 2nd, 2023, request for the email part 2. February 29th, 2024. The mayor could not have the Gulf Coast Realty Association to Diamond Head and host them. She needed to pay for the room. March 5th, 2024. Tried to charge the mayor to hold monthly meetings. April 16th, 2024. No elected officials can talk to engineers. We're probably the only city in the state of Mississippi that none of the elected officials can talk to the engineers about the project. Do you know that we are relying on one person and one person only to speak with the engineers and communicate what's going on? It's ludicrous. It's like something I've never, and especially when you have $8 million in engineering work. Unheard of. 05/21/2024. Docket had retrieval of mayor's emails. So my emails were sent out on a public request, and I don't even know people's on my email helping themselves, giving them out to people. And I was told, I don't have to tell you that we're taking your email. Well, how would any of you sitting up there would feel if somebody would grab all your emails and gave them to somebody? You'd at least want to know, hey, so-and-so has your emails. And I'd be like, well, thank you. Thank you for letting me know that. But I didn't even know my emails were given out. 06/05/2024. I asked many times, were my emails forwarded? No, they weren't. I asked them, no, they weren't. Then finally I get an email saying, yes, they were. Councilman Cumberland requested your emails and I forwarded to you. Do I get any of y'all's emails forwarded? How would you feel if you knew your emails were being forwarded to me? How would you feel? How would that make you feel? I don't even ask for them because I know I'm not going to get them, first of all, but I have rights too. mean, talk to me about it. You talking about working as a team? The only team you got going on is to discredit me, to make me look bad, to make me look like I'm stealing, to make me look like I had something in my email, when none of it is true. It's like this envision that you have constantly putting motions on the agenda. Now, 09/03/2024, I want to know what the mayor put on her Facebook page. Are we in elementary school? No, you don't deserve to know what I sent or what I have or what's on my Facebook page. The meeting before that, the motion was passed that everybody's Facebook page is their own page and it does not reflect the city or anything to do with the city. So the motion was passed, your page does not reflect anything to do with the city, it's your own opinion. Then the next meeting, well, I don't like that post you made. Well, you can't have it both ways. Either you want the city, my mayor's page to be the official city page, or you don't. And I hate that I had to go off on this, but I could go on for hours on how I've been treated, how I've been disrespected, and the motions keep coming on every agenda and every resident sees it. And I have had enough. City clerk.
No, thank you. I know you can't see because you're not here, but I'd like to make a loop
We're
through
going
everyone
to-
again.
If we go back, we're going back through everyone
Oh,
else.
absolutely. I feel sure a lot of us have something to say to that. Okay, just to discuss some of the things you brought up. The reason the committees, and I didn't make that motion, but I was for it, the reason the committees were dissolved is because they weren't functioning properly. We have rules that we are supposed to be abiding by, that we are bound to abide by, and they included taking minutes and advertising, and they weren't functioning correctly. And so it was as simple as that. There was nothing sinister going on. And also, the dog park. I'm sick of hearing about how we had some evil plan to dismantle the dog park. No. Unbeknownst to the committee or whatever, we realized, thanks to water and sewer literally putting us on notice, that there was a sewer relief valve that frequently explodes, and it has since erupted since we moved it. There was a homeowner who had sewage backing up into her house right behind there after the dog park moved. She posted a picture of it. It looked like a fountain. That was one issue, and the grant money. Some people are under the impression that we had this six-figure grant for a dog park. That is not true. Those were Tidelands funds, and I don't know in what universe Tidelands funds have anything to do with a dog park. And I think that we were concerned about the propriety of doing that. So that is misleading. I imagine Councilman Cumberland might want to address the email issues. The Gulf Coast Realtor Association, none of us have the authority to tell any person or entity that they can use anything at City Hall for free, including a group like the Realtors. Probably the council would have been happy to host the Realtors, but it needed to come to the council and for a council vote. That was the problem. And as far as talking to engineers, none of us are engineers. We do not need to be talking to them and giving them directions. When we talk to them, it costs money. They need one point of contact, and that is the city manager. That's how the city was set up. And we are not supposed to insert ourselves in projects. It creates confusion. And time after time, there have been instances where projects have been altered and costs have gone up because of directions from people on the council, I've heard. And then, you know, none of this is about feelings. It is about impropriety. And, you know, if you want to nitpick and get the dates out, let's talk about your motion on October, I think it was October 17th. I'd have to double check. So about 2 years ago, in 22, right before the council meeting, you came up and gave everybody an addition to the agenda and said, oh, this is just something to help the businesses during construction. And we took you at your word and assumed that it had come from it could have come from you, but that it was typed by Jeannie or Tammy. It was in the same font. It looked exactly right. So we took you at your word. And it got added to the consent agenda, which is where things go that don't need to be discussed. So we passed it, and then we realized after the meeting that it did away with our entire sign ordinance because it was slipped in. And we had to call a special meeting to fix it because we could have been sued. And the fact that the attorney for Chevron came to the next P&Z meeting and disavowed the whole spot zoning incident and said, look, we didn't ask her to do that. We had nothing to do with it. It was very telling, and they are the ones that brought copies of your emails that were given to them by the other party. None of us gave them we didn't have them. And it's just shocking that happened, and I think that is when the wheels started to come off and this dissension on the council started, and it's out of control now. And we are not functioning as a team. We cannot function effectively when our leader cannot show up. It's been 6 meetings. I mean, I assume you haven't left your house in 6 weeks, or you're not going to anywhere. If you've got a rare disease, I'm very sorry to hear it, truly. But I would assume that means if you can't come to this meeting, you're not going to any others. And I hate that, but it's just interesting that this is the one that you can't get to. And as far as people calling to ask what happened, I think time and again we are, concerned about the truthfulness of what we hear. And so if we could believe everything that you said, we might have called you. And I'm sorry, but you've got all this that's been bothering you. It's been bothering us too. So I'm glad this is all coming up. I'm not finished.
Yeah.
I'm not finished. I am glad it's coming up, and I'm glad that the public is going to be aware of all this, and they need to be.
Oh, they need to be. Councilman Cumberland?
Sure. Yeah, the only thing that I really got out of that I wanted to talk about was, as far as directing engineers, I think we came up with that motion because there were some incidences where our state statute doesn't allow us to direct engineers. It's not really a problem for us to talk to them, but it can become a gray area, difficult for them. So that was the purpose of the motion that was made with the engineers. The city manager is their point of contact. I think it's simple, and we just pointed that out. As far as the emails are concerned, there was a reason we asked for the emails, and it started with the mayor suggesting that she had sent an email to John McCraw. John had not received it, so John got AGJ to look into it. AGJ is our management service provider for our IT. Couldn't find out that email didn't exist. We have an email where you had forwarded it to John on November 22nd, 2023, and said this is, I sent this to both of you on Wednesday, November 15th, but there's no record of that ever having been sent from your email address according to AGJ. There's a email that looks just like it that was sent to Ben Benvenuti, but the email that you forwarded, there's no record of that one ever having been sent. And to give you an idea of what all AGJ can see, they could see that 92 emails were deleted, 260 were purged, 2,490 were in the inbox, 1,769 were in the sent box. They can see everything that they do, even drafts that you type up and then never send. They can see them, but supposedly this email that the mayor sent to John McCraw on November the 15th, 2023, it's never sent. So anyway, seems awful suspicious. I don't know what the mayor's motives were for sending that to John, but sometimes we have to do things to protect our employees here, and that was something that I thought was necessary to see if there was an issue. And haven't discussed it. I don't see where there's any value in discussing it. I know what I know. And again, what I stated earlier, being here, you just learn from what you've experienced. And yeah, trust is a big issue that I have. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Councilman Moore?
Well, I just have to say that there seems to be a whole bunch of stuff that it's too many to mention in such a short time. But the one thing that sticks in my mind is after the email request that came to, because John McCraw didn't get an email, all of a sudden I know I was asked that I had to present my emails and my text, and I think and believe that that request came from you when you were saying, who does that? Well, you did that in retaliation after somebody asked for yours for the incident with John McGraw. Why you asked for every council person's, I don't know, but it just seemed to me like a childish thing to do. But I had great respect for you the first 2 years I served with you. And after that, it seemed that you held on to things, even if they were proved not to be so, that you just would keep on with them. And that's where I think this whole culture of the council not agreeing to go along with you anymore is because they see that you're just on to something and you won't let go. And it's not because you're fighting for freedom. It's not because you're fighting to wave the American flag. It's because it's your way or no way. And that's what the council is resisting.
Councilman Clark?
Has anyone reached out, Mayor? I know this is just kind of a question for you. Has anyone reached out to you prior to those events, asking, checking in on y'all or anything like that from the city or the council?
No.
Okay. No comment.
Councilman Finley?
I just think everybody should study their packet, come to the meeting either on the phone or in person, vote, go home, stay off social media. Unless you're going to say something that's true, and then whatever you want.
And I agree with Councilman Finley on the fact that you should be reading your packet. You should not be meeting up at City Hall after hours, which I have seen some of you there. I can tell you who you are, and I can tell you what date it was. I'm not going to announce that because it is some employees there. It's constant. What can we do to destroy the mayor? So you've made all this ruckus over one email I said I sent and I didn't send. I have been sending emails for 9 years and there hasn't been an issue. 9 years I've been sending emails and there's never been an issue. I have never interfered with engineers to cause the project to go up. I have only asked questions to engineers that the residents had asked me. For instance, the ditches that were on the Khaleesi project, that were canals. They were not ditches, they were canals. That is my right as an elected official to represent those residents and say, hey, would you want this in front of your home? No, you would not want canals in front of your home. That lowers the value of every home. Still today, people are posting on Facebook, ooh, the mayor's emails, like I had bad emails, when it was one email that you said I said, and I didn't send. So, I mean, how would you like, because I could do it to each and every one of you, but do I want to spend my life doing that? No, I don't. I would want to spend my life talking to the residents about their concerns. I don't worry about what any of you do. You have never heard me say, well, I'm going to put this on here because John did this, or Anna did that, or Anna thinks she's, this or that. I have never. I don't care what you're doing. I really don't. I don't care what you're doing. I care
Okay,
about
hold
the
on.
residents.
Excuse me
I
one
care
second.
about their
4 minutes
concerns.
4 minutes ago, you just accused some or all of us of having secret meetings, and you say you don't care what we do. I would like to clarify. I would like to clarify that I don't like to talk about city business at the meeting. I'm definitely not going to waste my time outside of the meeting talking to anybody here. And if you think that it goes any more than that,
Let's get back to, so it's my turn to talk. Everybody else had 2 turns. It's my turn to talk. We're going to talk about the dog park. So the dog park, first of all, the dog park supposedly was stopped because there is not a overflow valve. There is a sewer manhole that supposedly is used to overflow. Okay, sewer manhole and overflow can never be in the same sentence. A sewer manhole is an access point that is put in every so many feet on a sewer main so you can access the sewer line to be able to clean it out or unclog it. It's never made for the top to come off and sewer to come out. It's never, and if you have that problem, by golly, you need to be fixing it. Then if you do have that problem, and it's gonna happen, there's no system that's not gonna have an overflow or spill. None, no system. You file bypass reports. You say, MDEQ requires them. That's Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality. I accidentally spilled sewer, so here's my bypass report. So many gallons went on the ground, and this is how I contained it. This is how I cleaned it up. This is how I disinfected the site. When asked over years how many was done there were 3 bypass reports. Well, that is not something that's chronic. Do I feel the water stewards letting sewer run in the Twin Lakes? No, I don't. They have spent millions fixing up sewer. So I don't think that was the reason the dog park was canceled. I know that's not the reason, because that's not a viable reason, because that does not happen. That's not happening. The residents' home that overflowed was because a grinder pump is at their home and the check valve broke. So you've got check valves on a grinder pump because it's on a force main. You got to think this is a forced system. There's pressure. A check valve prevents the sewer from going backwards. It sends it out the home and pushes it forward. It grinds it up and then forces it. When the check valve broke, everything in that line went the other way. Instead of coming out the home, it went back in. And those, you can't prevent a check valve from not breaking. They are just, you've got to check them. You have check valves in place. You know, sometimes you need to buy the most expensive one you can find so the flopper doesn't break, but they break, and that happens. Talking about the sign of the Chevron, those businesses, and even I tried to forewarn you how hard it was going to be, because I've been in construction and I'm most sympathetic to the commercial districts with the MDOT project, because they are feeling the biggest impact on it. The camp house you couldn't get to, you know, business was very, very slow, so it's very disappointing we didn't have the after party after the paddling paradise, because they probably could have used that event. You know, they were impacted by people not being able to get to them. Now we look at the Chevron. It's very difficult to get in there. They wanted to relocate their sign instead of having to put in a new one once that was removed. And had we had every sign in the commercial district in compliance, I see why that would have been an issue. But we've got so many signs that are out of compliance that needs to be addressed and fixed up. We have some that are even broken. So that was why that motion was put on the agenda. They wanted to relocate their sign, not move their sign. And Chevron was not the person that contacted me. The owner of the property was. So Chevron, if they want to pay for a new sign, by golly, I'd rather see a new sign. To have at it. They're putting in a new sign. That's wonderful. I would much rather see a new sign. But there was nothing improper about that. When someone here wants something done and asks the mayor to do it, it's no different than any of you and having that. There's no different in John responding to your emails or John looking at something you ask him to look at. It's no different if I ask him, but there is a difference. So these are things that I'm saying need to be corrected. And I've always worked as a team. It's never been, if it's not your way, it's no way. I have worked for 9 years, and we've gotten a lot accomplished, a lot. But the past 2 years, there's two people, not the whole council, that just pick and knit and pick and knit all day, every day. And I don't do that to you, but believe me, I've got enough experience. I could do it to you, but I choose not to because I love our city too much.
I have a rebuttal. I think we're going to have to go through again. Do you have something?
City clerk?
No, we're gonna have to go through again because some things need to be addressed. Okay, just,
Why don't we do it at closing statements? Everybody have a closing statement because it is 8:00.
well,
And we're not gonna get anywhere. We're gonna continually talk about it.
Well-
Do y'all agree on that?
no. The email that you are saying,
Do
well,
we all agree on waiting? First of all, let's see, do we all agree on waiting on the closing statements, or do we want to keep this going over and over and over? Councilman Moore?
Let her just keep going for now.
Councilman Clark?
I agree. Let it keep going.
Councilman Cumberland?
I agree.
Councilman Levy?
yes, I would like to continue.
Councilman Finley?
Yes, ma'am. If we can finish, if we can complete this tonight, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Levy.
Thank you. Okay, the email incident that you just said, oh, well, it's just about one email that I didn't send. It's not that you didn't send an email, you faked one. You took the trouble to create an email that looked like you sent it. There's a copy of it that you allege that you sent that AGJ is saying does not exist. So it's not, oh, why do you care about one email that I sent and I didn't send? What we care about is that the public should be able to go to sleep at night thinking that their public officials are not at home doctoring emails or fabricating them, as the evidence would suggest. So that's what that was about. And I have a question for John. Have costs gone up for any projects due to communication from the mayor with engineers?
We've had several change orders on many projects over the years, certainly.
Directly related to contact from council members?
Some of them, yes, that would be the case.
Okay, so costs have gone up because of interference. And the Chevron incident was not about Chevron. It was not about the businesses. Everyone is sympathetic to the businesses during this construction. What it was about, as it all came out later when the Chevron attorney shared your emails at P&Z, you had been communicating with the owner of that property about the sign problem, which is par for the course, as you should have been if she reached out to you. That was all fine. What became a problem is that you snuck this motion on at 5:59 before a meeting, and you snuck it on the consent agenda. And the emails clearly showed that you planned leading up to that to handle that at the meeting. So it should have been on the actual agenda. Last minute additions should be reserved for things that are actually last minute. And so the fact that the fact that it did happen like that made it very suspicious. And that is what we objected to, not that anyone didn't want to help Chevron. It wasn't about Chevron. It was about the way you did it. And yes, if we could go back and forth, but I cannot let those things go unaddressed. They're just too big.
Councilman Lisi, I hate to cut you off, but I'm not feeling well. I'm not feeling well, and I'm going to call for a vote because I'm going to leave right after the vote. So I call for a vote.
Councilman Cumberland?
I make a motion, call for a vote.
Second.
All in,
Wait, hold on a minute. I'm running the meeting. Did Councilman Cumberland have?
anyone can have, in Robert's Rules of Order, call for a vote to end discussion. I just did. I just had a second.
Okay, and I want to say one thing before we call for a vote, because I want to be able to say what I needed to say. The email.
I'm sorry, call for a vote, overrules, whatever you want to say, Mayor.
And the sign, again, talking about the sign.
City Attorney, is this a valid motion?
It is.
In Robert's Rules of Orders, if somebody calls for a vote, doesn't it stop all discussion right then if it's seconded and so the vote has been called for. I am leaving after this vote. I would like to have the city attorney, the city clerk, call for the order.
So the motion is as written to include Facebook posts entered into the record.
No.
The
Yes,
motion is the
what-
table
she
for it.
asked that it be.
I asked that it be
but
added.
that's, yeah, the motion itself is for the mayor to turn over what she turned over to the state auditor, attorney general, or ethics commission.
So this rescind the motion that our Facebook pages are not, they are.
No, it does not, Mayor. It rescinds no other motion. The motion speaks for itself.
Lisi.
All right, so this is for the vote. Okay. Finley,
Yes.
Lisi?
Yes.
Cumberland?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Mar?
Yes.
Mayor?
Good luck getting it, none. All right, closing statements. Oh, wait, we have a few more things. Claims payable. Motion to approve docket of claims DKT 232195, DKT 232233 in the amount of $1,113,437.01.
Move.
Motion.
Finley.
Second,
Second, Lisi.
Lisi, City Clerk.
Finley?
Yes.
Lisi?
Yes.
Cumberland?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Motion to approve payroll payables, PR claim 10213 in the amount of $27,093.34. PR claim 10214 in the amount of $27,349.31. PR claim 10215 in the amount of $3,048.79. And docket of claim 23 DKT 232155, DKT 232163 in the amount of $42,072.74. Motion.
Move. Finley.
Motion made by Finley, second.
Clark, second.
Second, Clark. Motion to, City Clerk.
Finley?
Yes.
Lisi?
Yes.
Cumberland?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Motion, department reports. Motion to approve A and B.
Move, Clark.
Second,
Finley.
City Clerk.
Finley?
Yes.
Lisi?
Yes.
Cumberland?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Is there any non-agenda public comment?
None.
Closing statement. Mark.
He's gone.
He left?
Yes.
That's what he said.
Okay. Clark?
Yes, John, real quick. The night out on Noma right here, it's really, really dark. I know last year at the fire department, we had put cones out with some lights on it. Can we just get some kind of, either a police presence or some kind of lighting cones, something
Sure.
out there?
We'll do that.
Thank you. That's it.
Cumberland?
No, ma'am.
Lisi?
No.
Manley?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and I do have a closing comment. My closing comment is, there is nothing that I have ever done that has been dishonest or has broken any laws. Not one thing. But I can say that I have seen things that probably were not correct, and that is why I'm being constantly harassed, and I'm really over it. And getting back to the email thing, my emails are written like I read them in court. I have been trained that
So
way.
did he
I've been
leave?
engineering for
He left.
40
Yep.
years.
8:05.
The way my emails are not
Oh, they can't.
If anybody's gonna leave, there's no quorum.
is
It's
very unprofessional, and we know what the motive is. Election
If they leave, then
2025,
we're
that's where all
Huh?
this
If we leave, she
Yeah,
leaves, there's no
get up and leave.
No, I'm not going.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Forget it.
Can I get
Mayor, it looks like John Cumberland also just left the meeting at 8:05. Just wanted the record to reflect that. I was going to request an executive session to discuss some personnel matters, specifically involving the mayor. and some allegations, but with Councilman Marr and Councilman Cumberland having left, I'm going to wait until the next meeting on those.
All right, wonderful. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Move, Clark.
Can I get a second? Second. All right, city clerk.
Finley? Yes. Lisi?
Yes.
Cumberland? Yep, sorry, he left. Clark?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Night, everybody.
Good night.